Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So let's get into talking point number one. Is Bitcoin really hitting $1 million as Mark Cuban predicts? I thought this was awesome this week, seeing him put himself out there in the crypto world. I know he's been upping the ante of his predictions and getting involved more in crypto. And it was just really awesome to see this $1 million prediction, because now he's out on the limb with Cathie, which is pretty cool. So he did make this prediction. His confidence in Bitcoin underscores its perceived validity and the potential as a mainstream financial asset. I think this prediction also highlights the ongoing debates around cryptocurrency as a durable store of value and really as it's deemed digital gold. And this discussion about Bitcoin reaching such high values also brings into focus the limited amount of Bitcoin, because for those of you that don't know, Bitcoin is capped at 21 million coins forever. And of that, we don't know, there could be 3-4 million of them already lost. So it really puts upward price pressure on Bitcoin because of everything that's happening in the markets and these types of predictions. So I think it's more awesome news for the Bitcoin and the crypto space.
Yeah, anytime somebody makes these predictions, all the naysayers and all the people come out and say, oh, man, it's impossible. That'll never happen. And the thing about it is that if we go back to me and you got into crypto, when I really started getting it, it was between $100 and $300. And I remember people saying 1,000 was impossible. I remember that. And they hit 1,000, they said 10,000 is impossible. Every time they've been moving the goalposts back on what was considered impossible as it came to Bitcoin. Now, if we look at the price of Bitcoin now, we're at 60,000. We said it in maybe even less, maybe more, it'd be $1 million. That's 18-time return, 1,800% return. And that sounds like a lot when we're looking at traditional finance. But if we go back to 2017, we go back to 2020, when Bitcoin hit 3,000, now it's up to 60. That's 20 times return. That's more than what we're predicting with the $1 million mark. So I think it's highly likely that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I think it's less likely that it won't hit $1 million. And I think that it's great that Mark Cuban is stepping out on a limb, making people aware of the potential. And I just think that even with the limited supply, with the technological advances, all the things that are going on, we have Trump, who is speaking at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville on Saturday, which is one of the biggest events in crypto history. A legitimate front runner for a political campaign is talking about Bitcoin at the biggest Bitcoin conference in the United States. That's a huge deal. And I'm saying that after that event, all the news, the projects, the connections that come out of that event, we'll see a bump up in Bitcoin over the 2 weeks. I can see that. It's pretty certain that's going to happen. So I think that $1 million is not that far off. And I would agree with Mark Cuban, Cathie Woods, and all the other people who are predicting $1 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think it really speaks to, I think you talked about it on an episode a while back. We talked about this being the last super cycle. You know, what people have to realize when we go from this $60,000, $65,000 range and we bump up to $250,000 and $500,000 and $1 million, hopefully, per Bitcoin, it's not going to just raise the Bitcoin tide. It's going to raise all tides in cryptocurrency as a whole, because Bitcoin is a store of value, and that acceptance, I forget the numbers we calculated of where Bitcoin needs to go just to get anywhere close to the market value and market cap of gold. And Bitcoin is much more efficient than gold as a store of value. And so for me, I love what the future provides here, but it's just important for people to understand as we go from these ranges we're in right now to the $250,000, $500,000 mark, and then hopefully to the $1 million, they just have to look at it from a long-term perspective to be able to understand that this isn't a tomorrow game. When they need to stop worrying, all of you listening listening and watching need to stop worrying about the volatility right now, because this is a long investor game. And we have to look at it from the overall perspective that the convergence of technology, finance, and policy, that's the key regarding cryptocurrencies, will likely play a crucial role in determining how high and how quickly Bitcoin's value could escalate. Because if you were to do what I ask of you and to, when in doubt, zoom out right now, think about that. You've got Cathie Wood, you've got Michael Saylor, you have former President Donald Trump, you have Mark Cuban, you have all these huge names that are now putting their reputational capital on the line, putting these predictions out, and they're not wrong very often. And like we always say, if they are wrong, they'll make it right. So it's just very important for everyone to look at the long-term strategies here as an investor and not as a gambler. And I think that's going to play a key role in this.
Yeah, I got something to say. One of the things you say a lot, and I really appreciate, is that when in doubt, zoom out, right?
Yep.
That applies to markets. And if you look at Bitcoin, yeah, of course that applies. But also, it applies to society as a whole, right? Yep. Is that sometimes you could be focused on one particular thing. You don't realize everything that's happening tech-wise around us. AI, we have quantum computing on the horizon. We have a lot of new technology changing our lives. Now, when something like AI can replace people in jobs,
Yep.
they can replace people in different positions in society. Now, an AI can think millions of times faster than us. Once AI improves to the point where it can do things like that, they also have to make transactions back and forth. Crypto is going to be the currency of the new technology innovations that are coming forward. Crypto is going to be it. It's nothing else. The SWIFT system is too slow. The U.S. dollars are too slow back and forth. They will exchange between one AI to another in crypto.
Yep.
Bitcoin will be, well, I know people are going to say Bitcoin's slow now, but they will fix that. The Lightning Network, there's already other technological innovations that have already made it faster and more efficient. With time, all of that will get faster. And that's why we think that crypto, one of the reasons we think crypto is going to be a huge player in the financial system in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I think the number one takeaway for me would be that if we could get people to lose the term crypto, because if you think about it, the word crypto, most people don't even say cryptocurrency, is such a negative for so many people. Large swaths of population just think crypto is a scam. They can't get it out of their heads. But if we could get people to pivot their thinking and think blockchain, innovation. If we lost the word crypto in the day-to-day talks and we said blockchain is next, innovation next, if they could understand that from a macro perspective, I think most people would then lose the negative connotation towards cryptocurrency because they've heard of so many scams over the years. Yet if you look at the stock market, you look at the real estate market, you look at the startup market, there are so many scams, they just have different names. When a major startup raises $100 million and goes out of business, they just say, oh, it didn't work. But when a cryptocurrency goes out of business, it's immediately a rug pull or it's a scam. It's not. And that's one of the things I want people to understand, everyone that follows us here and on our normal channels, is that look at it as the technology as a whole and blockchain as a whole, because it is not going anywhere. It is not a scam. There's always going to be bad actors, but moving forward, we are going to see our lives are basically changing in front of our eyes right now. And most people don't do that and don't see it because they're not looking at the bigger picture of what's happening. And so it's like Amazon. Amazon is one of the biggest players in AI. You've got all these people, everyone's talking about NVIDIA and AMD, but they're not talking as much about Tesla and Amazon, the general public, because they don't realize they're huge players in AI and soon to be blockchain and everything else. So I think that's one of the key things I want to get out there today is people to try and lose the mindset around the word crypto and look at the market as a whole, the blockchain and cryptocurrency market and all of the different sectors that it's disrupting right before our eyes.
That's a good point, man. You just thought, my mind's racing as you're talking, right? Is that I never thought about this angle, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that crypto does have negative connotations, but the people who are getting into the market now, they have the power to change the narrative or change the word completely. Now, remember with COVID, we called it Corona at first. And they convinced us to call it COVID because it affected Corona Beer Company.
Yep.
Even go back farther than that, the swine flu. We call it the swine flu, but it affected the pork industry. So they use a media campaign, and then we started calling it something else.
Yep.
So I think when these big players get in and they get solidified, it's going to be a big media campaign to change the word from crypto to blockchain. And I think that's probably going to happen, and that's probably a sign that the market is maturing. That's a great point, Robert.
Thank you. So the next point that I want to talk about today is a major crypto bull run happening right now? Or is this just a bump in the market because of the tragic? So that's something I want to break down a little bit today for our listeners, because no one really knows exactly when the bull market is going to start. What is the catalyst for the bull market? And right now we have so much good news happening. It's really hard to tell. Is it started? Is this just a major bump in a hype cycle, or where are we? And I think it's just important for us to cover it, because even if you look at Lark Davis, for instance, he's a pretty well-known crypto analyst, and he's really celebrated for his knack at predicting these market movements and seeing an imminent bull run in the crypto market. And I think his talks, like so much of this other news, has really stirred the community, bringing in a wave of new traders, but also excitement. If you look at the last 10 days of the inflows into the Bitcoin ETFs are huge again. And then also we have in the next few days, the launch of the trading for the ETFs for Ethereum. So for me, moving forward, I don't think I've ever been more excited about the crypto markets. And it's just really my goal to continue to make sure everyone that follows us is understanding to just keep looking at the bigger market, the bigger picture. What is the actual momentum? We talk about hype cycles a lot, and we talk about momentum swings. Look at how quickly the markets reacted after the Trump shooting. It was incredible to see within 24, 36 hours, because everyone knows that Trump is all about crypto in his campaign right now, and the markets just started going. And that's why I just want to make sure everyone understands, when you're looking at these news cycles and you're looking at the macro markets as a whole, try to always zoom out, because you'll have a better understanding of not waiting on the sidelines until you feel is the perfect moment. We talk about dollar cost averaging, because I think right now is a great moment for people to really be studying the crypto markets and having a portion of their investable assets in crypto.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing in the market right now is that there's a buzz that hasn't been active for a while, right?
Yeah.
With a lot of these predictions that are coming out. I think that we're starting to move into this bull market phase of this crypto cycle. And I think I can just see it forming. And I think that this Bitcoin conference next week is going to be like a tipping point, which I think is going to ignite that bull run. Now, it'll start slow at first, and it'll start speeding up. Another thing we see, too, is that on-chain analysis shows us that after Trump's shooting, or whatever you want to call it, there's been a slight uptick in retail interest. And the way we know that is that we can go on-chain and see all the wallets. Bitcoin is transparent. Most cryptos are. And we can tell which wallets have been accumulating, which wallets are selling, and we can judge which wallets are retail and which wallets are institutional based on the size, who they're connected to, and stuff like that. And we've seen a retail uptick that we haven't seen in months after the shooting happened. So that's a positive sign in Bitcoin going forward, and it's a good indicator that we're moving in this bull market cycle that will be driven by retail. That's exciting to see. There's a lot of technological innovations. We already talked about that. There's growing institutional. Ethereum ETFs coming out that also boost the whole crypto market, and Bitcoin is the leader, so it will receive the lion's share of that hype. So it's a lot of great things happening, a lot of enthusiasm. The market trajectory is moving in the right way. And I'm just looking forward to what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks. I actually bought a Bitcoin. I think I told you that last week. And I'm trying to buy another one before Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I'm excited because with the conference happening this week and Trump being there in Nashville with us, one of my favorite, let me say that over. Yes, I'm excited with the Bitcoin conference happening this week in Nashville. We'll both be there. There's just so much good news happening in the crypto space, but I do have to ask you, are you going to plop down the $844,000 to be at the Trump dinner?
Yeah, that's crazy. Trump wants 850,000.
Something like that, which is crazy.
Paying Bitcoin, and it's a dinner after his speech on Saturday. That's ridiculous, man. And it's 60,000 for just a picture. I mean, that's crazy. I don't see. There's probably some big names in crypto that just want to, get in his ear or something. But that's all that is. I don't think you would just do it just because. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I would never pay that to sit with anyone for a dinner where there's going to be a lot of people. But
there was direct benefit to it, direct.
What that speaks to, though, is we talk about hype cycles all the time. We talk about momentum, which is very important in the crypto space. And I think just the avalanche effect that's happening right now in cryptocurrency, it's just good news after good news, I think is really important for us to keep an eye on, because at any given moment, we have to look at the crypto market from a whole, as you've got the developers and the people that have been in it forever. You've got the long-term investors like you and I that have been in crypto forever. And then you've got all of the new money that's coming in by the hundreds of millions at a time. And then you have the retail investors that are dipping their toe in the water with a few $100 here and there. But all of it is leaning towards a really incredible bull run, because it's not just about the hype. It's not just about Trump and Mark Cuban and all that. It's about the adoption, like I said, of blockchain and what it is going to do alongside AI, humanoid robotics as a whole to change the world. And I think that's very important for everyone to keep in mind when you're taking notes, to remember that, because a lot of people just get into a market like crypto because of the hype. And they're not understanding the underlying technology and the disruption that's happening because of it. And that's so important that I want all of the listeners to understand. So let's get into our next point. Is Bitcoin bouncing back stronger than ever despite the recent setbacks? We've had to deal with Mt. Gox dumping all of the refunds, as you would say, into the market. We had the German government dumping so much Bitcoin into the open markets, and we saw price correction during that time here a week or two ago. And now we're already seeing Bitcoin recover so quickly and really doing well as of the airing of this podcast. And I think despite the challenges, Bitcoin is, like always, showing resilience and a great upward trajectory. And I think the historical cycles of Bitcoin indicate it remains a strong asset, even in diversity, as a store of value and as a great investment opportunity.
Yeah, the resilience that we've seen in Bitcoin over the last 2 months has been astounding to me. Is that even all the negative news, all the retail is not even really involved yet. And the Mt. Gox issue that hung over crypto, the whole crypto market for months. And also with the German government selling so much in the market able to absorb that selling pressure is ridiculous to me. It means that we talked about this for the last year. I didn't think Bitcoin and crypto in general would be where it's at today. I thought we'd be at like 50, 55 by now. It's past where I thought it would be. And my overall projection is 250 in this cycle, maybe even more. So I thought we'd be at like 55, 50 right now. We're at 66 as of this morning. And probably by the time next week sometime, we'll be at 70. So it's past where I thought it would be. And the resilience of Bitcoin has just been shocking. And I'm glad to see it. Okay, so even when Bitcoin drops a little bit, like it did last week, and I bought a week before last, and I bought an entire Bitcoin, that's an opportunity to me because I can see the resilience, and I can see how the market is forming into this bull phase that's coming in the next few weeks. Yeah, so even when Bitcoin drops, or crypto in general, I have other cryptos I invest in, Ethereum, XRP, Solana. When these things go through a drop or a short-term setback, that's an opportunity because I can see the overall resilience of those assets. People don't realize that it's all about perspective. You have to be able to zoom out, see the whole picture, not only the markets, the trends, the technicals, the overall economic picture, the overall political picture, the technology that's happening around it. When you have all of those things in your view, the thesis of Bitcoin going to where we think it's going is a lot clearer. It's just about perspective.
I agree. And how I look at it, and I consider myself, I look at things from a technical analysis, where the markets are going, but also from a social perspective. They call it like social arbitrage trading. I see all of this news out there right now, and I just see positivity. I see growth. I see innovation. So for me, it's all hands on deck. what am I buying? What are the next best projects to diversify my portfolios and share it with my audience? But it really, to me, everything looks so incredibly good moving forward that I just don't see the negative sentiment that a lot of the audience sees. And that's why I don't have knee-jerk reactions, and neither should they. So let's talk about our next and final point today, and that is Solana past $170. ETFs are on the horizon. Where do we think Solana is going to go? I think we will see a $200 Solana sooner than later. And I just think with these ETFs on the way, we're going to see a lot of support moving forward for Solana. It's been up already 33% since early July, and it's quietly moving really well. I know a lot of people got into Solana early. We all made a lot of money with it, but now I think is the next iteration of growth for Solana coming up, especially with the hopeful launch of the ETFs. And then I assume the big sleeping giant here that no one ever wants to talk about is XRP. I believe we will see a settlement, especially with everything looking so strongly that Trump will win this race. I believe we'll see the XRP ETFs come right after Solana, and then it is game on and the race is on. So let's talk a little bit about the milestone for Solana and what your thoughts are moving forward.
Yeah, Solana is on the rise again. It just crossed 170. It's up 33% since July. I think it's a major milestone for Solana. And Solana, for those you don't know, is one of the major competitors to Ethereum.
Yep.
And it's a lot faster. It's a lot more efficient. It's been around longer, has more people that use it, and has a bigger market cap. But Solana is chasing position. Now, I don't think it will ever take a position, but it could be a good alternative. And in the marketplace, we always need alternatives, right? We have Windows, we have Macs, we have Fords, we have Chevys. It actually makes the marketplace a lot more robust, and it makes for better products on both sides because there is competition. What we've seen with Solana is, again, the resilience we've seen across cryptocurrency, including Solana, has been amazing for me to watch over the last few months. I thought all of these assets would be less. I thought Solana would be like 120 now. And it's a lot higher than I thought. With the historical performance, with the ETFs on the horizon, and I do believe there will be a Solana ETF here quickly, I think that it's a great time for people to look at Solana a little bit differently. Now, the thing about Solana is that you have, and I'm going to go get a little technical here, Bitcoin is, as we all know, proof of work. So the way that Bitcoin came up with their idea on how they were going to secure the network is that they wanted to do it through encryption. They said, well, you can put your computer on our network. We're going to use your processor to secure the network. And in exchange for that, we're going to pay you rewards, right? So Bitcoin became the proof of work blockchain. So Ethereum came out and said, we want to do things the same way. We're going to use proof of work. But after a while, they said, we're going to move to proof of stake, which means the way we're going to secure the network is that we want you to stake your assets into a node. What that means is that I contribute my assets to a node. So if anything happens on that node, they take some, like almost like insurance, they take some back from me. So I'm more likely not to be a malicious actor if my money is in that system.
Correct.
So Solana does things a different way. They have proof of history. And what proof of history is that in order to secure that network and make sure that the transactions are valid and in order, they're just going to timestamp everything. So anything you do on the Solana blockchain receives a timestamp, and because those timestamps have, of course, times on them, you can put which order they came in, which ones came before the other one, and that's their way of securing the network. But that algorithm is a lot faster than the previous two. And it's a lot more secure. It does go down sometime because it's still immature technology, but it's another perspective on how to secure these networks and how to make sure transactions are valid. So all three of these are great. Somebody may need proof of stake in order to develop a certain type of application, and somebody else may need proof of history. So I love that we have these different players in the market that are doing things different ways, and just seeing who wins in the end or who can get the most market share based on what they do. I love to see this in technology, and I'm looking forward to the future on both of these, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, everything. So it's going to be a great next year or two.
Yeah, and I guess the way I look at it is the SEC is suggesting that the Solana ETFs may not need the CMA futures for approval, and I think this is a big step because it speeds up adoption and getting these ETFs to market, and that's important. Institutional interest from firms like Van Eck and 21 Shares have all already filed their Solana ETFs, and I think we're just going to see a lot more approvals go quicker now that Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum has laid the groundwork. More and more of these technologies are going to get through the SEC much faster, especially if Trump does win the presidency. But regardless if he does or he doesn't, I still see us having a very positive sentiment in the market after the presidential race is over and the election is done, because of the fact that so much of this groundwork is paying off right now for this technology as we talk about Bitcoin and the underlying technology, which is blockchain. So I think it's very important for everyone to understand that, and then keep an eye on Solana's price with these approvals, because as we always say, we're going to keep you updated in our thoughts, because I also believe we're going to see Chainlink as an ETF as well. Chainlink is a very important cryptocurrency right now in what it does in the ISO 22 category, because like you said earlier in the broadcast, the SWIFT payment system is dead. It needs to go away. They're working on it, and that is going to change the world as far as cross-border payments, speed, and cost when it comes to the banking system. And I think Chainlink is one because it hasn't seen big price appreciation in the last few months that people are quitting on because the hype cycle's not there, and I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. So a lot of people ask me the question, which one do you think is going to be an ETF first, XRP or Solana? At this point in time, I would say Solana.
Yeah. And
it's not because I hate XRP, I'm against it. I love XRP. I always talk about it on all of my social media channels that we still haven't got through the regulatory hurdles yet with XRP. So at this point, yeah, Solana is probably next in line. And they've already filed several documents for approvals. Odds are Solana will be next, and probably XRP once all of this is over.
Yeah, we don't have a date yet, I don't think, of the XRP settlement. We did see that the SEC canceled this closed-door meeting that was supposed to happen. So I don't know if that's good news or bad news. Of course, everyone takes a negative sentiment, but I'm not sure that it's bad news. It could just be they needed more time, they needed to push because they're trying to figure things out. Who knows? But I think that will be another major catalyst once XRP gets that settlement number in line, and I think it's going to be very reasonable. And we're going to see that push towards getting that over with, because XRP has been crushed, beat down for so long that people are saying it's dead and it's this and it's that. And it's just ridiculous, because the underlying technology and everything they've built is still moving in the right direction. And I love it. And I think XRP is still going to be huge. So do you have any predictions? XRP, Solana, anything you want to put in here today?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just say, and you can say yours too. I think I can see Solana going to 800 to 1,000 this cycle. It's going to push past 200 just with the excitement over the ETFs. It's going to get caught up in this bull market, which is going to take place in the next 3 to 4 weeks, maybe less, maybe more. And I think that's conservative. It could go past that, maybe 2,000. I don't know. But I'm thinking 800 to 1,000 is a target that I have. What about you?
I want to ask you one more. You put out a pretty bold target for XRP in the next couple of years. Let's hear it.
Is the $10,000 one? No, that wasn't a target. That was people asked me, could it get there? And I said, maybe.
No, target, not the hype cycle price.
$20, that target, or the
$20.
Yeah, I think it could go to 20. And I'll tell you why is that I think it's artificially held down now.
It is.
What is it, 60 cents now or whatever it is today? And just parity with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was at 20, it was at almost $4. So let's say it just kept up with that, it'll be already at $12 now. And I think if he can get his everything act together with some innovation happen, some partnerships, I could see it going from that 12 where it should be now to $20 pretty easily.
Yeah, that's my struggle. Is I remember vividly getting on a plane and I was going to sell 50,000 XRP at the height, and it was like $3.73. I get on the plane and I'm super excited, and then all of a sudden we take off and there's no internet. And by the time I landed and the order placed, it was down like 20 cents per, but the order went through and I was like, okay, whatever. But I look at it this way. It is suppressed. The pricing has been suppressed for a long time because of the SEC and the case and the settlement and all that. But if you look back with XRP being such a huge project, and it was at $4 or right around $4, I don't know the exact number, even if we get back to that, is incredible. But I do believe we'll see an $8, $10, $12 XRP in this bull cycle. Let's call it through 2025. And so it's exciting for me, and I love getting to do this every single day, researching, chatting, and just really putting our resources in to figure out what is next in cryptocurrency and just try to educate people as best that we can so they have a solid base of information to do their own research with, because we do live in an era where there's a lot of shillers and there's a lot of scammers. And I just want to make sure that we do our best each and every week to keep everyone in touch with what's happening and what we believe are the best strategies. So I want to thank each and every one of you for listening and following along. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast and on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. We're so excited for the coming months and coming years in cryptocurrency. And if you love the podcast, please share with a friend, give it a 5-star review, and we'll see you next week.